Greetings from Tromaville. I'm Lloyd Kaufman, president of Troma Entertainment, creator of The Toxic Avenger. You know, folks, when the Troma team is not making those fan-toxic movies like The Toxic Avenger or Romeo and Juliet or hashtag Shakespeare's Blank Storm, we like to kick back and watch Hexen Arcane, because Hexen Arcane is the most entertaining and educational broadcast that you can get online, as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you. Why, hello.
Hello.
I'm Celeste.
And I'm Morgan.
And we are
Hexen Arcane. And tonight we are bringing you, what was it listed as, Celeste?
One of the worst movies ever made, but amusingly badly made.
Yes. And what is it called, Celeste?
The Creeping Terror.
Woohoo!
It is from 1964.
Yep. It's got Vic Savage.
It is one of the most fun, interesting movies, I would say.
Yeah.
If by interesting you want repetitive, but also can't look away train wreck.
Highly amusing. I would say for all ages, it's pretty amusing.
Yes.
So, we've got lots of trivia for you on it. Very interesting.
Yes.
It's great. We're great. It's great.
Everything's great. Before I actually talk about how great it is,
Yes.
I should explain one thing about the audio in this movie.
Yes.
So we're not sure there's two different stories that have been told. One is that the audio is actually lost in post-production. So a lot of it is narrated. So you'll see people going, but there'll be narration over it, like Celeste and Morgan were having a conversation.
Cluck, 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 cluck.
But the other, there is some dialogue because they actually had some alternate takes that they could use. The other story is that it was intentionally done that way to save money, and it was later going to be dubbed. That doesn't sound that feasible, but whatever. I'm gonna go with they lost the footage.
Yes, and I have a fun piece of trivia coming up for you too about this place in the spirit that goes with my personality, I would say. So I'm excited to share that trivia with you then.
We also have an interview, a surprise guest.
We do.
We're very excited about this one, so make sure you stay tuned for that. And
It's like made my whole life.
Morgan.
Happy place, happy place. Yes, yes, Celeste, yes.
Morgan. What game do monsters play?
What game do monsters play, Celeste?
Hide and shriek.
I feel pretty.
Okay, Morgan.
Yes.
Morgan.
Yes, Celeste.
What happened to the monster when he ate all those houses?
What happened to the monster when he ate all those houses?
He got homesick.
That's funny. That's fine. Okay, you got me. She got me. That's funny. Homesick. But that's what you get for eating houses.
Yeah, exactly. So, on that house-eating note,
Homesickness.
please enjoy
The Creeping Terror.
did, honey. After driving all night. What time is it?
Almost 4:30. Almost dawn. We should be home in another hour.
This man's name is Martin Gordon. The lovely girl beside him is Brett, his bride of 2 wonderful weeks. It's late August. They're returning from their honeymoon to their home in quiet, peaceful Angel County, California. Martin's Uncle Ben is sheriff of Angel County, and Martin is his senior deputy. Martin has high hopes of succeeding his uncle when Ben retires. But for now, Martin has only the thoughts, emotions, and pride of a very happy, newly married young man. Brett is his, and he feels no man could ask for more. And now, without warning, their honeymoon is to become a nightmare. Neither Martin nor Brett saw the glowing rocket descend in the early morning skies. It was reported to the sheriff's office by Jeff, the county forest ranger. Jeff reported to Sheriff Ben that a plane had crashed near Willow Creek and that he was going out to investigate. Ben said he would join him as soon as possible. Barney, Ben's junior deputy, was to summon medical aid and to see if he could rouse someone at the Air Authority in San Francisco.
Uncle Ben, honey. Must be an accident or something.
There's a plane crash down the road a couple of miles. I'm going to be a little short-handed till help gets here. Go around back of me. Come along, both of you.
Get in, honey.
At the location of the crash, they discovered Jeff's truck, but Jeff himself was not around. They proceeded with their investigation. They looked at the rocket in utter amazement. A puzzled Ben finally asked Martin what he made of the craft.
It's no airplane.
Could be one of our missiles.
Or one of theirs.
You could be right, honey. Don't think we have anything this big.
Ben could not understand why the craft wasn't severely damaged.
This hat belongs to Jeff Peters. Jeff! Jeff! Jeff, are you in there? Martin, go back to my car and get my flashlight.
Ben, don't go in there. You don't know what's in there.
I think I hear him moving inside. Maybe he's hurt.
Ben, please don't. Ben. Ben. Car 1, calling in. Car 1, calling in.
Within the hour, Martin's unusual call for assistance was answered by a special unit led by a Colonel James Caldwell.
Let's get going. Let's go. Let's go. Move it over. Let's get going. Let's go. All right, back on the truck. Let's go. Sergeant, take one man and check it out.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Did you see that thing? I can't even take it seriously. This is a comedy, not a horror movie.
Tell him what it's made of.
So Morgan, funny story about this monster. So you know how it looks really, really bad?
No kidding. Appalachian mud squids look better.
The reason it looks that bad is actually kind of legit.
Oh no.
So the reason it looks that bad is that they had apparently, allegedly, supposedly rumored to be a cool monster. But then, days before filming started, someone stole it. So they made this gyrating carpet abomination. And that's the story of apparently why this monster is what it is.
The carpet noses.
They just do the sprinkler. Can you imagine that thing trying to do the sprinkler? Anyway.
I got a sigh for him.
It's actually kind of starting to scare me a little bit though, so maybe it's working because I'm feeling like we need more protection in
Yeah,
our house because
I think so.
yeah,
From smelly carpets.
it looked moldy. That's like
Smelly
straight up
carpets.
mildewy.
Smelly carpets.
Anyway. So you had some interesting factoid here as well.
I did. Okay, back to...
So calm down for seeing this. That was a shock to the system.
Okay. I know we're not that far into this movie, but I am wondering how many of you actually recognize that filming location?
Keep this in mind as you watch the rest of the movie
okay.
to like look for this.
This was made in 1964. Where that was shot was a ranch that is infamous for filming movies.
Westerns mostly.
Westerns, yes. And by the mid-60s, Hollywood was losing interest in filming these westerns. So guess who crept in and started taking up residence
Oh,
at
who
the
was
ranch?
it? Who was it? Spill the tea.
Charlie Manson and his family.
No, that's the infamous house.
That is the infamous Manson family ranch, or what would become the
That
infamous.
is kind of cool, kind of macabre.
It is. It really is. But I'm a macabre person who unfortunately knows all these random little bits.
Well, I'm going to keep my eyes on that. And you guys should keep your eyes on this movie.
Oh, hi, I'm Ron Pertee, and you're watching Hexen Arcane. I'm going back to bed.
The sergeant reported seeing an amazingly large creature in the aft section of the strange craft. He further reported that it was secured by a kind of metal harness, but that the creature could still move around somewhat, and for that reason they had not gotten too close to it. There was no trace of either Ben or Jet. The colonel ordered continuous guard duty around the spaceship and decided to set up a temporary military headquarters at the sheriff's office in town. By the next day, Colonel Caldwell had the situation well in hand. He had called Washington and received his orders from the highest possible authority. He was to maintain tight security and to await the arrival of a Dr. Bradford, who had been on assignment at the Jodrell Bank Radio Observatory in England. Upon arrival, Bradford was to take complete charge of the operation. He was the world's leading authority on space emissions and had worked out a series of systems that might lead to communication with other forms of life, when, as, and if they were contacted. Martin was outraged by the government's intellectual approach to a monster that had already killed and caused the disappearance of his two close friends. Caldwell tended to agree with him. but stated he had to follow his orders. One of those orders was to suppress the news of the death of Ben and Jeff. Martin was appointed temporary sheriff, and all news intended for public consumption was to emanate from his office. The Air Authority issued a cover-up story that a plane had crashed and burned, and this was to suffice until the experts cleared up the mystery of the visitor from outer space. In a remote section of the county, the first of a series of tragedies took place. Tragedies that would have been avoided had the public been warned. Later that day, while they were awaiting the arrival of Dr. Bradford, Martin instructed Barney, on advice from Colonel Caldwell, to plant in the local papers the news that Ben and Jeff had taken off on a fishing trip to British Columbia. The colonel had impressed the bereaved families with the necessity of maintaining secrecy, and these brave relatives had agreed. Despite Brett's inquiries about what Martin had seen in the spacecraft, he avoided specific details for fear of disturbing her more than she was. If the truth were known, Martin was more than a little disturbed himself. Shortly thereafter, Dr. Bradford arrived. He was a much younger man than one would imagine him to be.
Martin, I'd like for you to meet Dr. Bradford.
I've heard a lot about you from the colonel.
Nothing bad, I trust.
Martin and his wife were in the original party that found the fallen craft.
I was sorry to hear about your uncle. It's a tough break. I hope you're feeling better.
Yes, thank you. A couple hours of sleep did a world of good.
Bradford thanked the colonel for his assistance and then asked to speak to Martin. Bradford questioned Martin about everything that had transpired. Martin did his best to recall everything in precise detail, but really didn't have much for him. The two soldiers that entered the rocket earlier had been summoned, and Bradford hoped to learn more from them. The doctor himself would not enter the rocket until the arrival of certain equipment. From his discussion, it was apparent that the doctor considered this situation a magnificent opportunity for mankind. He felt that if he could communicate with the creature, it might be possible to advance human knowledge by years or even centuries. The spaceship alone signified an intellectual development far in advance of anything on Earth. When Martin asked him how he intended to protect himself from the creature, Bradford said not to worry, that he hadn't come here to be victimized either by his own or the creature's fears.
Oh, hi, Barney. We'll be right out.
Well, that's all right. Just take your time.
I didn't know we had company. Look at me. I'm a mess. Don't be impolite. Make our guest a drink.
Now you're talking, honey. What do you have, Barney?
How about a bourbon and 7?
Coming up. Would you get the 7, honey? Barney, you should try marriage. It would do wonders for you.
Barney and Martin had been bachelor buddies for years, but now that Martin was settling down to marriage, they were slowly drifting apart. Barney, naturally, was still dating all the girls in town, and he couldn't understand why Brett and Martin didn't pal around with him more than they did. He couldn't comprehend that married life brought with it not only new problems and duties, but the necessary togetherness of husband and wife as well. Despite Brett's most tactful considerations, such as inviting him over to dinner quite often, Barney was growing resentful of her, or at least she felt that he was. Since time began, this change in relationship has probably happened to all buddies in similar circumstances. Life has its way of making boys grow up, and with marriage, Martin's time had come. His life was now Brett, a life that he thoroughly enjoyed.
So this creature, it like very slowly lumbering. So how is it eating this many people?
I don't know. This went from funny to I'm dumbfounded back to funny.
It's like a pulsating, gyrating, carpety tick thing that engulfs people.
Like a tick.
It does look like a tick. And I'm getting, actually, it's making me feel a little icky. And, you know, I keep hearing, like, noises out in the woods. Mm-hmm. And I'm worried that something is actually very, very, very slowly coming at us.
It could be. Remember, I told you earlier that I think we're being abducted.
What?
I told you this.
What?
Several times at breakfast.
Oh, yeah, you were talking about those creepy things from outer space.
Mm-hmm. So I think we need to make some protective armor.
Okay, what do we do with that for that?
I think we're going to have to make more specifically undergarments. I can't really mention the nature as to why undergarments, but I'm pretty sure that we are being abducted. That is for you.
We need undergarments to protect
underwear, yes.
Against.
If they can't get to your mind because you're wearing a tinfoil hat, it only makes sense.
Protect against alien abductions. This makes a lot of sense. I feel like.
Yep, we're going to be okay. We're going to make it. We're going to make it.
I feel like I should have a hat too.
Yes, so we probably should make a hat too, but...
Oh, yours looks a lot more comfortable. Well, mine's all bumpy.
That looks though like you could wear that for a while and not have to use the bathroom. Like, that looks efficient.
Nothing's getting through here. Anyway, as we make these, we also want to introduce you to our very, very special guest tonight. So please join us for the first part of this interview that I conducted with the one and only legendary film director, Lloyd Kaufman.
Hi, this is Celeste here from Hexen Arcane, and I am joined by a wonderful, legendary guest, Mr. Lloyd Kaufman.
Yay! See, you always wear your vest and your mask. Sorry.
Yes,
wear
always
your mask out there. Don't be a mask hole, ladies and gentlemen.
Safety first.
Wear your mask, especially when you're playing the clarinet.
I did not know you could play the clarinet.
I can't, but I played it in 3rd grade, and I found it in my closet during this wonderful trauma horror movie we're living in. So
yeah.
I took it out, and I still remember a little bit. And I've been
Maybe it's like riding a bicycle. You never forget how to play clarinet.
Well, this I definitely have forgotten. But, you know, I sort of practice about 5 minutes a day, and I have a repertoire of about 4 songs.
It's wonderful.
And one of the notes is broken, Celeste. So I find songs that don't include that one note.
Well, that works. That's very inventive. And thank you so much for joining us here today. So you have a lot going on. I know that you used to have a YouTube channel where you'd have so many of your trauma movies, and that is no longer available.
No, it was all free, about 300 free movies plus some opinion pieces. There probably were 1,000 items there. And I think we had 850,000 subscribers.
Wow.
Trauma movies, all free. And after 47 years, apparently, Trauma and I, who've been honored all over the world. I mean, from Shanghai to France to England to the American Film Institute, American Cinematheque, British Film Institute, Museum of Modern Art twice, Museum of the Moving Image. I mean, you name it, we've been honored. And so Community Standards apparently suddenly, now that we're pulling eyeballs away from the media conglomerates, the media oligopoly, the media fascism, we're no longer alive. You know, we're no longer people. But the good news is...
Yeah, I was going to say you have good news.
Sorry?
I was going to say you have good news related to this too, though.
Yes, the good news is you can go to Trauma Now, the wonderful streaming service, which we set up about 3 years ago because we saw this coming. I've written about it in my books for 40 years, and they're going to be after you too. They're going to get rid of net neutrality so that we'll have to pay up if we want a fast, sorry, I have shorts on, forgive me. If we want a fast Plus, my leg is going like this for some reason. If we want, if we want the fast highway, we're gonna have to pay. We don't have that kind of money. You probably won't have it.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. You should support independent horror, independent artists, because that's where the creativity is. That's where the different thinking is. And, people like you, and obviously to a much lesser extent, Hexen Arcane, we're trying to promote our vision in our own way that doesn't suit what the giant companies want.
It has nothing to do with art. It has nothing to do with community standard. It has to do with a monopoly, trying to create a club of 5 or 6 giant members, and anyone who takes eyeballs away,
right?
They're programmed to get rid of you. And but they don't knock off the porno or the. They've got some nice pedophile stuff from Netflix up. There are a lot of pictures that they've permitted Netflix to post, and videos of little kids 5 years old running around in stripper outfits. Apparently, that is communities. That conforms to community standards.
It's very confusing.
You can have decapitations in real life on the YouTube, but no trauma. So clearly the algorithm is there right now to get rid of people like companies and studios and collections like ours.
But if people do want to find your stuff, they can go to watch.troma.com and sign up for your streaming service. So that's wonderful news for people that have supported Troma and want to continue to support Troma.
Well, thank you so much. The first month is free, by the way, and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of, I think there's like 1,000 things there. We saw the YouTube fascism coming, so 3 or 4 years ago, we started migrating to Troma Now.
Right, and there'll only be more in the future, so that's wonderful.
It's very cheap, too. It's only $4.99 a month. If you want a copy of the New Yorker now, you pay $15.
Wow.
Even the New York Times is $3 a day.
Wow, for real?
Yeah, Wall Street Journal the same.
Bye, honey.
The next morning, Betty Johnson, as usual, blew a goodbye kiss to her husband, but for the last time.
Poor baby. Let Mommy take your temperature. Poor baby. You'll feel better soon. Papa, can I go for a walk?
All right, but stay close by. Bobby? 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 Help! 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 Help!
Within 48 hours, Dr. Bradford had closely examined the creature and the spaceship and reached a number of conclusions. He was sure the creature had come from beyond our solar system because it adapted to our environment so quickly, and no planet or dead star near us has conditions similar to the Earth. Of special interest to him was the hull of the ship. It was composed of an alloy unlike anything human science had ever encountered. The doctor had run a number of tests on the metal, but its molecular structure remained a mystery. Because there was no food on board, Bradford presumed the creature had been in a state of suspended animation, particularly because it had survived the trials of re-entry and impact without apparent harm. So far, he had no success in communicating with it, but he had not yet exhausted all possibilities. On a more subjective basis, he had the curious feeling that the creature did not want to communicate with him. Such a confession on the part of this eminent scientist made Martin feel quite apprehensive.
Martin, I'm pretty sure this is going to have like a protective strip down the middle.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like,
Oh my god! I figured we'd just show them when we're done.
oh! Yeah, that. We can do that too. I was testing it.
I did finish mine, so I think I'm gonna start working on our hats.
Yeah.
Look, I even got electrical
Well,
tape.
I formed this now to the perfect shape.
Oh,
so
good.
It'll be my inner diaper. I mean, underwear.
Okay, as long as it's super absorbent and protective, isn't that what
I
matters?
wouldn't say foil is absorbent, but it will be containing.
Yes. Yes, it will.
You know, I think this will be okay.
I think so too.
It could also double as a hat.
It totally could. You can take that liner out and
Or leave it in. Ooh. Look at my sweet hat. Maybe not. Okay, I'm just going to save that as my underwear.
how do people make these tinfoil hats? They never turn out.
Either way, we'll definitely be protected because
We will.
I don't even know what's going on here, but there was definitely something in the woods.
Yep, there is.
And
I think we're being abducted, but
the slow-moving, carpet flailing
they probing my butt.
monster, and I don't even know. I mean, I don't understand how it's killing people when it moves that slow. It's creeping, but it's not that stealthy. It's large and it's like lumbering.
Obnoxious,
It lumbers.
The only conclusion, and to be nice, I want to think that these people are frozen in terror, and that's why the monster gets them.
We're gonna go with that.
Yep, let's just be nice.
Speaking
Everything
of
else
being
that-
nice and going with that,
Yes.
we have a little bit more of the interview with Mr. Lloyd Kaufman, so please check that out.
New stuff. You have a new movie coming out that's premiering, and we're all really excited about it. I might have a small part in it.
Well, you are a spoiler. You shouldn't have. And of course, one of the big stars in the movie, Joe Randanzo. Oh my heavens, where do you see him?
Oh,
And,
yes.
I think
So-
he.
There'll be some familiar faces, but please check it out. It's based on Shakespeare. It's based on The Tempest, loosely, in trauma fashion, based on The Tempest.
Indeedy, The Tempest is my favorite Shakespeare play, and hashtag Shakespeare's S Storm. I don't want to say the four-letter word just in case the YouTube fascists. Although CNN, you can see it on cable and TV, CNN, NBC. They all say those words. That's okay. But if we have it in a title or in a movie, that's the end of us. And
Yeah, we have to be a little careful with the censorship, but we're very excited for it. And you are clearly a fan of Shakespeare's works.
Yes, indeed. Romeo and Juliet was quite successful a long time ago. And James Gunn wrote it. Don't know what happened to him, but I wish him luck,
Yeah.
Successful.
I had another question for you. So I don't think I've seen any figure in the industry that can get the crowds like you do, that really get people to love you and be, your trauma fans are such loyal fans. Do you think that there's a secret behind it, or why do you think that you have such a loyal, wonderful fan base?
That's a great point, Celeste, and a good question. I think trauma wouldn't be here without our fans. We have the most generous and active, they're not rich and they didn't go to Harvard, but they didn't even go to Yale. They're not rich people. They're not privileged, as we call it.
Right.
And yet they love art and they love trauma and they're thinking, they're trying to figure the world out. And a lot of them are out there marching, and I'm very proud. And in fact, if you go to my Instagram, you'll see me in one of those marches.
Wonderful.
But our fans is the only reason we're here. Trauma Entertainment and Shakespeare's Blank Storm is totally fan-fueled. Everybody on the film, the Shakespeare's Storm, was a fan. And the camera guy came from Denmark. The director of photography came from Los Angeles. People came from all over the world, got paid 10% of what they would normally make so that they could work on something they really believed in.
Right.
And that's why we've made a $50 million movie for about $500,000. It's all due to the fans. And of course, now that we're out of YouTube, and now that we're the only independent movie studio left too.
Wow.
So, you know, YouTube ought to think twice about dumping a 47-year-old independent voice, because you know, we have some money and we have lawyers. So I think if I can figure out a way to sue them, if our lawyer can figure out, I think they have it pretty well locked up. I think they can do whatever they want, because that's what fascism is: a small number of people doing whatever they want and having the second double standard for them compared to the rabble like you and me.
Yeah, I think that really the way you interact with the fans was something that struck me right away. So at conventions, I've seen you making the time for people, interacting with people, going out of your way, recognizing people. And that's something that you don't see very often. You definitely don't see with a lot of the bigger name people in the industry. So you really make time for people. You make people feel included. You make them feel like they're a part of something bigger. And I really appreciate that about you.
The fans, definitely the fans, and the free, open, and diverse democratic internet is vital. And the FCC and the telephone companies, who now own the movie companies, the big studios, they want to get rid of net neutrality on the internet. They want to be able to speed up their own content. I wouldn't call it art, their own content, and slow down our art. So we'll be on a bumpy, buffering road, and the public won't want to bother with that. The public won't have they won't have the patience to wait for buffering.
Right.
So you know, it's going to be the death of us, and this attitude of the elites running everything, the labor elite too. It ain't just the corporations. It's the bureaucrats in Washington, who are, most of whom are millionaires, and because of being in Congress, and the corporate, bureaucratic, and labor elite. Those are the three legs of the elitist fascist stool that has been getting more and more powerful as my 50 years of filmmaking go on.
Yes, I've noticed that a lot of the people that follow independent films are the people that say that we don't want to watch what we're being force-fed. We want to see what other people are creating, and I really think that's great. That's
very true, and that's the reason we're still here. We are sort of the jalapeno peppers of the art form, whereas the mainstream primarily is providing baby food, on which you can live. You know, if you make $200 million movie, you know, if you make Batman 32 for $200 million, you got to please everybody. So you have all these guys, usually white men in suits, making all the decisions. And you end up with baby food. You can live on baby food, but it is sure boring. So Troma gives you kind of a jalapeno culturally, and a lot of people want to be challenged. A lot of people want to go on an adventure. Mutant Blast. Look at Mutant Blast, a new movie that we just finished. It opened in California right before the COVID lockdown, and it had 2 weeks in theaters there, the Laemmle theaters, and did rather well. And unfortunately, it can't play any theaters. Oh no, it played. We got a drive-in recently, and I think we're getting a few drive-ins. But Mutant Blast was made in Portugal by Fernando Ale, who worked on 2 of our movies, Return to Nukem High and Return to Nukem High. He's a very talented young man. His movie, which has the word banana in it, and then MF, is hilarious. It's on Troma now exclusively. It's absolutely, you'll die laughing. And the Portuguese government gave Troma like doubled the budget, thanks to the Portuguese government, knowing it's Troma. Yet YouTube feels we don't we don't provide community standards.
Right. And
we are Rat Best Fighter, and you're watching Hexen Arcane.
While on a routine call to pick up instructions from Colonel Caldwell, Martin received an urgent message from Barney. Barney was at Willow Creek. He had responded to a phone call from a frantic Mrs. Brown. Her husband and grandson had gone fishing and were long overdue. Barney was instructed to organize a search party locally and to report the results to Martin. Because of security regulations, he was not to come near the area of the spacecraft. Martin said he would join Barney later if he could. Acting on a hunch, Martin decided to see for himself if the monster was still there. It was. Bradford had installed TV cameras inside the spaceship and was testing the creature's reactions to sound, light, electricity, color, and air pressure. When Martin asked him if he had any luck in communicating with the beast, Bradford confessed that he hadn't, but would try again when certain data was returned to him from computer processing. It was at this time that Bradford came up with a frightening theory, namely that the creature might be a product of engineering, the same engineering that built the spaceship. What he didn't understand was why some form of communication had not been built into the creature. When Martin asked him if this weren't something to worry about, Bradford said no. It was probably his own failing at not being able to establish communications. It seemed to Martin that if Bradford's theory were correct, humanity might be in grave danger. Bradford dismissed Martin's fears by pointing out that the creature was not exhibiting any signs of violence, and besides, it was firmly secured by the harness. That afternoon in Moncrief Park, a group of neighbors got together for a hootenanny.
Oh, she left me sad, but still I am happy. In fact, I am glad, for I am as free as that bird in the tree, 'cause she left me alone and could not marry me. I said that I loved her and would till I died. I tried to forget her, and I really did try, but I'll still think of her till the day that I die, 'cause I think
What is it?
You stay there. Stay calm.
In response to a multiple missing persons report, Martin and Barney searched the countryside for the group of picnickers. The only trace they found of them was the remains of a guitar one of them carried. This wholesale disappearance of a large group of people, coupled with earlier missing persons reports, led Martin to only one conclusion. There must be another monster, and it was on the loose. The colonel listened to Martin's theory, and after consulting with Bradford, decided to call Washington. He was told to follow his own good judgment, but under no circumstances was he to alarm the populace. The colonel decided to organize a county-wide search. Martin's assignment was to search the north end of the county. While Martin and Brett were engaged by the search, the monster was moving toward the community dance hall.
Enough of that guy.
Morgan?
Yeah?
This underwear was a terrible idea.
Oh, why is that, Celeste?
It rips, it's pointy, it crinkles, and it does not contain any fluids
Whoa,
at all. Alright, we're dealing with a whole mess here.
Oh, I can see why people haven't made the alien underwear.
While we sort this out, we're going to put you into a little bit more of the interview with Lloyd Kaufman.
What does that mean? If you have content warnings, I think a lot more stuff should be acceptable. But
they'll never do that. They'll never do it, right? Yeah, they'll put a content warning for Gone with the Wind or Mel Brooks movies. We could put the Old Testament in front of our movies. We could put Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. It didn't matter. They're out to get us.
Right.
And then you've got the other elites out there, left and right, and all races who are out to you know who they're going after all over the world. So Jews of the world, you better watch out. Yes, I read a lot. It's bubbling up, under the cover of, we don't like the Israelis taking over territory. I don't like that either. But that's not a cause to be. That's veiled anti-Semitism. They use that to express anti-Semitism because they go on from there. It's all over YouTube. Anti-Jewish hate is all over YouTube. And it's there. You just go type in bestiality on YouTube. Type in. Type in any kind of stuff that might be a little off color. They have it, no problem. But Troma, 47-year-old company. At any rate, hopefully there's a lawyer out there who feels there's some merit to the case. I'm just starting to dig around. I've been kind of thinking.
I hope you have something there. And to change the topic a little bit, what do you feel like inspires your style of filmmaking?
Well, we've created a whole new genre, traumatic touch. New York Times has talked about it, and Eli Roth, James Gunn, Samuel Jackson, Trey Parker, and Matt Stone, and Marissa Tomei, Vincent D'Onofrio. I can go on. I can go on forever, citing famous and talented people who wouldn't be here if they hadn't have been able to get into the movie industry and. Through us and have examples of their work to show people, right?
Right.
It's really so stupid, this whole era we live in where we have free speech as long as we, the public, don't say anything. But the big shots can say anything they want, right?
Well, how do you feel like filmmaking's changed since you've started?
When we started, it was like this. And even my kids are worried about Shakespeare's shit, right? They don't want to get canceled, right? They're worried about it. And they say that they love the film, but, I can't blame them. So what are you going to do?
Well, you're not afraid to ever push the boundaries and take it to the next level. And
as long as it's something that one believes in. I mean, just to do something, for instance, I saw a movie, I think it's called a Serbian movie.
Oh, Serbian Guild, yeah.
The movie, all it did was have horrible, disgusting images. I didn't get it. It looked good. And like Blood-Sucking Freaks. Blood-Sucking Freaks was shot on 35 millimeter. Very popular trauma movie. It's an evil movie. That movie shouldn't exist, but everybody loves it, right? The public for Blood-Sucking Freaks community standards goes up every year. It was just on Shudder. Shudder is owned by a giant devil-worshipping international conglomerate. They had no problem playing Blood-Sucking Freaks. That's Troma's probably most objectionable film, and I would not take that film today. But in its day, and people love it, so what are you going to do? And we need money. So, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it other than it's an evil film, and I would not care to have anybody watch it, but they love it. So.
Wow, that's sad.
Too late now. Made in 1972.
Yeah.
While Martin and Brett were taking a break from the search, a call came through which confirmed Martin's theory. Colonel Caldwell told them of the monster's attack at the dance hall. His troops now had orders to destroy the monster, and he asked for Martin's assistance. Martin said he would join the colonel as quickly as possible. The monster next appeared in Lover's Lane. Anyone who experienced that catastrophe and survived would never go there again.
God.
Hootenanny.
Yeah, well, this is getting way more interesting. There's creatures and death and long, drawn-out scenes of eating women. And I guess we're just going to go with that because nobody seems to know how to evade this thing. The people were fighting each other at the Hootenanny and...
The Hootenanny.
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 I want to go to a Hootenanny.
You too. It looks like fun.
I feel like I hear something.
I hear it too.
Things are shaking a little bit.
Just a little.
Okay, let you guys go to the interview with Lloyd.
Oh.
We'll be back with you soon.
Yep, we gotta go.
Yeah, I know that a lot has changed over the years. Budgets have changed, what you can do, and the technology has changed, but I'm sure a lot of things are still the same. You're still pursuing your vision, you're still making new movies, and...
Well, we haven't changed. No, we believe in film as an art. We believe that there's, if you make a film, there's no purpose to it other than to express your soul and your heart and your brain, because there's so many easier ways to make money. If you want to go be a hedge fund person. They're idiots, but they make billions of dollars because they went to the right school and they push the paper, and it's not anything creative. It's knowing how to skirt the law. It's knowing how to use tax shelters and how not to pay taxes. And just ask any member of Congress. They all do it. They're all millionaires. They know, not all of them, maybe 2 or 3. Al Franken, I don't think, he might have been actually from Saturday Night Live, but he got kicked out. He was a real public servant. And he got kicked out by his own party for doing nothing. Nothing. Right? He did that. That's what he did.
Well, I agree with you on the art, and I think there's magic to seeing someone's real passion and vision go into it. It looks less, ends up looking more authentic. I remember when my local little theater had a showing of Poultrygeist, and I went to it, and there weren't that many people there, but the people there were diehard fans. We were all there, so excited to see it playing in our theater, so excited to be part of that experience, and it felt like a community experience to us.
Well, the trauma, we get about, if I direct a movie, we can get about 200 theaters, but one by one. And did I go to that one you were at?
No, it was in Burlington, Wisconsin. It was very tiny. I don't know how it got there, but I read one of my friends told me, they're showing a trauma movie at our local theater. We're going to go. So we did.
Well, thanks for going. Poultrygeist Night of the Chicken Dead is a fabulous movie. Anti-fast food, but lots of fun. And, a lot of good social commentary inside. I
loved it. And especially as a vegetarian, I loved it.
Yes, indeed. Even Romeo and Juliet had a vegetarian theme in it.
Yes.
Juliet was, in fact, vegan.
My favorite is still always Terra Firma.
Yes, thank you.
I thought it was so much fun.
That's a crazy film, huh?
A lot going on, just all over the place, and really fun to watch.
It's on watch.trauma.com. It's on Trauma now.
I'm about to watch it because I am actually subscribed.
Yay! Well, thank you, and thanks for liking it. We were invited to Austin recently, and we showed it at the North Door there. It sold out, and the people loved it. I had Pat, my beautiful wife, the commissioner, had not seen it in years. I mean, it's 1999 is when we made it, so it's been at least 20 years. And it was, I can't believe we made it. It's so insane, but it has some very good, serious points. God, a whole deal, police brutality.
Yeah.
Even just that one thing is in it. There are all sorts of very serious independent art versus the conglomerates. That theme is running.
You don't have anyone saying, you can't do that, you can't show that, you have to cut that out. You're making your vision.
And Terra Firma and Lemmy is in it, and Trey Parker and Matt Stone have a cameo, and all sorts of people. And of course, Terra Firma was written by Trent Hager stars in it. He stars in it, and Gabe Friedman, who wrote Poultrygeist, he and I think, wrote the final script of Terra Firma. I know Gabe Friedman he remembered that I had been advised by my doctor to cut down on sodium.
Oh, yeah.
So Gabe came up with the theme of the pickle.
Oh, that's where it came from. Interesting.
Yeah, the doctor told me, don't eat pickles. And I mentioned Gabe, he was our in-house editor for many years, at least 10 years. So he said, hey, let's stick this in terra firma, make the pickle a prop, and we did.
Do you have a favorite Troma film?
I have to say, hashtag Shakespeare's Blank Storm.
Okay, yes.
I think it's the most interesting, and but I always feel that way about the most recent film.
Yeah, you're excited about it, and rightfully so.
Yeah, it's very much personal. It's personal. I guess terra firma up to this point was my sort of most personal, heartfelt movie. Based on the book, All I Need to Know About Filmmaking, I learned from The Toxic Avenger.
Oh, interesting.
That's a good book.
Is there anything upcoming that you can share with us?
How about that? I maybe I'll get better on the content. I don't know. We'll see what happens with we'll see what happens with hashtag Shakespeare's Blank Storm.
Yeah.
Mute Blast will go back to theaters at some point. We have a new film called Slashing the Final Beginning, or The Beginning of the End. It's got a very clever title. I can't remember. But the guy who wrote hashtag Shakespeare's Blank Storm wrote the first Slashing, which is a Troma, which is on Troma now. And I produced his second film, which is Slashing the Beginning of the End, or the End of the Beginning, or something. And it's hilarious. It's such good Troma, but not as graphic as Troma. So I think it'll get into more of the film festivals.
Right. All right. Well, that sounds great.
Brandon Basham made it, directed it. He wrote and directed it, and he wrote Shakespeare's S-Storm. And we've got several other movies. Mercedes the Muse had to stop filming in California during the COVID thing, but I think she's going to go back, assuming it's safe, in mid-September.
Right.
She's making Divide and Conquer, and then Heidi Moore is basically finished with her movie, which is Kill Dolly Kill, which is a sequel to her movie on Troma Now called Dolly Deadly. And then Liam Regan, who's worked for us on about 6 films and went to Albania when we shot for 8 days on Shakespeare's S-Storm. He has a new movie that he finished shooting that I produced called Mrs. Campbell's Eating Mrs. Campbell's.
Oh, that sounds really exciting.
Well, we've got we're quite active, basically blacklisted, but I don't think they can stop us. I should knock on wood.
No way. Unless
they get Putin to poison me, Troma will continue to be the herpes of the film industry. We won't go away.
All right, well.
As long as great fans like you and Joe Randazzo and I'll never get his name right, and but I've known him for 20 years, and you and Arcane, as long as fans like you guys keep an eye on us, I think we're going to be okay.
Yeah, we will never stop supporting Troma. We appreciate your time so much. Thank you for joining us today.
It was almost an hour before Caldwell learned of the monster's devastating new attack. Colonel Caldwell wasted no time ordering his men into action. It was at this point that Bradford interceded. He demanded that the monster be taken alive at all costs. The colonel's protests about the dead and missing made no impression on Bradford. Caldwell conceded to the point of assuring Bradford that they would not destroy the monster if they could avoid it.
Get on with it, Lieutenant.
Move it out, men.
When Martin's party arrived and offered to help, the colonel told them enough lives were being endangered. They were to be part of the second line of defense, to be used only if necessary. The sergeant, a shaken man, returned babbling about what had happened. Caldwell, realizing the full danger of the situation, decided he had only one means left to stop the monster: grenades. Now Bradford made a drastic move. Acting on his superior authority, he forbade Caldwell to destroy the creature. The colonel, more concerned with saving human lives than advancing science, told Bradford to go to hell.
Get out of my way.
Where's he going in such a hurry?
Maybe you'd better follow him. He may need help.
You go ahead, Martin. I'll stay with Carl.
The explosion loosened the harness on the monster and allowed it to escape. Martin tried to help the doctor, but there was no time. Bradford told Martin what he had just confirmed, that these monsters were highly specialized test animals. They were, in fact, mobile laboratories that consumed human beings in order to analyze them chemically, undoubtedly to detect weaknesses in the human species. He told Martin that the information fed into a computer in the spacecraft. Further, he added, now that both monsters were dead, the computer would activate a transmitter to send the results into outer space. Martin knew what he had to do. As Martin entered the spaceship, he heard the transmitter generator kick on. The super tough alloys of the spacecraft were not even dented by Martin's hammering. As the transmitter stopped, Martin felt sick. Evidently, all the information had been transmitted. On Martin's return, he confessed his failure. He slowly asked Bradford what was in store for humanity. Bradford was pessimistic, but implied that maybe all was not lost. After all, he told them, the vastness of the universe is incredible. If these monsters had come from its outer limits, their home might even no longer exist. Or if they do come again, perhaps man will have advanced enough to cope with them and those who made them. Only God knows for sure, were Bradford's last words to anyone on this earth.
You're hearing me, Morgan, and I am forecasting that there is a giant carpet monster outside, and therefore we should vamos. We gotta go. Adios. Sayonara.
Morgan,
Yeah.
we should not have come out here to check it out.
I'm power walking, man.
Run faster, Morgan. We gotta get away.
Run faster. Oh my god.
Run into the woods. Run into the woods.
If it eats me, it eats me.
Don't. Maybe we're okay. There was something out there. Where's that underwear?
I don't know. I think I threw it out.
Oh no!
It fell apart. We should probably let you guys go. And until next time, hex you soon. Oh, go, 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 go. Hold the girls down. Broke them. Oh, they just really broke.
That's kind of pointy in places.
Yes, yes it is. Okay, this is the creeping terror. Break-in
Worst
number 4.
idea ever.
I can't win them all.